everybody don't put the time in on the film session. So that's when you will make your plays on the field. Like, you don't want to watch too much film because this game is about instincts, right? So you don't want to lose that. But you watch that film, man, you see it. Oh shit! Oh, here it comes. You know what I'm saying? You don't want to get you antsy, but if you playing safety, okay, 2x2. Most of 3x1, they're trying to hide it, or this 3x1, it's not as hard. They can teach you to teach that. You know what I mean? Cover 2 is cover 2, cover 3, you're going to have your flat drop or whatever the case may be, but the terminology was different now. As far as the offensive side, now that was different. You know, just with route count.
More, 1, 2, 3. One more, 1, 2, 3.
All right, perfect. Thank you guys. Thank you. I know we have some more. Y'all got your thing?
Okay, I may need to get some myself just real fast. We'll get one more. Shouldn't be too long. Everybody ready? 3, 2, 1.
Hold up. Sit. Oh, no, not you. What you said?
3, 2, 1. All right, I'm good.
Everybody's looking good. Yo, I just don't want you to go out like that.
What's something you know now you wish you could so good like start out? Before I started. Y'all in a situation, I try to tell people all the time, they try to add for like 6 years.
And now I think moving forward now, it's like young players, like going back to like 4 playing years within 5 actually like physically in the year.
I ain't gonna lie, I ain't gonna agree.
Hey everybody, we want to make sure that you have enough time for conversation, but if we should clear the room in about 2 minutes so we can have the team come in, greatly appreciate it. Thanks, fellas.
Company should be. I gotta portray that onto the employees, right? For them to believe it as well. So I think it's, again, we talk about some of the attributes that I was able to take from playing ball into the entrepreneurship world, that communication, right? That leadership. You know, because they're gonna come in one day like not feeling like working, but what can I do as a leader to, you know, pump them up? What type of communication can I give them for them to see like the greater good of the company? You know what I'm saying? So I think that's one of the biggest things, just making them believe the big picture, seeing the big picture. I think that's been the biggest thing in entrepreneur. But then also, man, I would say this too, different entrepreneurs gonna have different problems. Some it could be resource, it could be lack of financials, it could be a ton of different things, but for me, I think that's kind of the biggest thing for me.
Any other questions?
Like I knew I was going to, do my thing, but then agents also started to come out. Agents were approaching, a lot of them were promising a lot of different things, and those were, signs, those were red flags. When you start promising all this stuff, when you start telling me you're gonna give me this deal, I'm gonna go this round, I had the wherewithal to know this game doesn't work like that. Anytime an agent was making guarantees, I kind of, X'd them out. But then it was others that, when they presented themselves, I could see, I've got a pretty good sense, a level of discernment where I could tell when someone is being real with me, and I can tell when someone is genuine. And I check their track record. So I talk to individuals that they represented as well. So if my agent that I did go with, and he's my agent throughout my entire journey in the NFL, he had 4 other guys that I reached out to and I spoke with. But then I asked the tough question. I said, you know what? Have you ever been let go? I like to get in touch with that individual too. So I talked to one of the individuals that actually fired the agent as well. And he told me why he did. And I took that into account. But it was a few different factors, me just being human, me being a young person that had never went through this process. But then I also leaned on a mentor of mine who came out of a peer-to-peer mentor who came out of Kent before me, a guy named Josh Cribbs. And Josh hadn't been drafted. He went through the process before me. I asked him about some of those things. Had another guy named Abe Elam. He was 2 years ahead of me. He had went through the process. I asked him about how he did different things. So I utilized some of those key components there, and I trusted in that, and I made a good decision, but ultimately I didn't do it by myself. I leaned on individuals that went through the process before me, and I ultimately went with it and knew at any time I could let him go, but he's working for me, and I leveraged that throughout.
I want to piggyback on that, right? So I think for me, to Simon's point, like when I was coming from an HBCU, the landscape was a little different, right? Where the scouts are coming in and people saying that, hey, look, you can't play at this level, or the level of competition that you play, you hear all of that. So when the agents were coming, I wanted to think about what type of relationship did I want to have with my agent, right? And first and foremost, remember the agent works for you, you don't work for the agent. Understood? All right, so remember that all the time. The agent works for you, it's not the other way around. So for me, I want to understand what type of relationship do I want to have with my agent? Do I want it to be strictly transactional, where I only talk to him when my deal is about to get done? Or do I want to have a real relationship with him, where he's going to talk about life, he's going to talk about things that's going on? Because as a football player, it's just not going to be ball. It's going to be different things that's come on while you're playing on the field, where it's family issues or family asking you for bread. You're not going to know how to really deal with it. So your agent could be somebody that you could use as a soundboard. So for me, when I made that decision, and I had my agent for the 14 years that I was in the league, that's what it was for me. He was a big brother to me. So it wasn't just when that deal was getting signed, he'll come in, he'll take his percentage, and I won't hear from him again for another 4 years. Like I talk to my agent weekly. I talk to him now. So for me, that was a